Hello, and welcome to the Mindset series, which is the very first module in the Women's Health Method. Now, this is very exciting because it's the first time I've delivered this content in such a way. And the reason Nat and I have started with Mindset first is so that we help you get really clear on the goals you have for this course and beyond, and to give you a framework to create those sustainable, positive changes in your life, whether it be fat loss or a better relationship with your nutrition and your training. The best thing about it is that the tools you learn here will be relevant and useful regardless of what you're here to achieve. Before we get started, I'm going to do a quick introduction as we may not have met before. My name's Katie. I'm a coach and a trainer, and I'm just finishing up a Masters of Coaching Psychology, and I help educate women just like yourself around how to initiate and implement the changes they've always wanted to see using the principles of training, nutrition, mindset, and behavior change. Now, facing my own challenges in the past, I'm a huge advocate for helping my wonderful clients begin to heal their relationships with food and self-image, and use training as a tool to create strong, resilient bodies and minds. So for any of you on a similar journey, I'd say the most important things to help you succeed are having a curious mindset, taking ownership of your journey, and making sure you're using self-compassion to navigate your way through. So as you can probably already tell, I'm a huge fan of this subject. Mindset is truly the foundation of successful behavior change, and it's such an interesting journey to be on. So what I hope you take from this module is A, clear picture of what you want to achieve over the next 12 weeks of this course. B, a roadmap to help you get there. And C, a deeper understanding of yourself, what may be holding you in place, and what you can begin to do to take ownership of this. And then beyond this course, I hope this gives you a change framework that you can apply to any aspect of your life that will help you implement and sustain any positive change you'd like to see. Before we dive in, I want to pose 3 questions to you, keeping in mind there's no right or wrong answer. So if you haven't already done so, grab your workbook and use the space provided to jot down your answers. The first question I'd like to ask you is this: what does mindset mean to you? So when I say mindset, what do you immediately think of? What does it mean to you in the context of your own life? The second question I want to pose is, why do you think mindset is so important? Do you think it has the ability to shape your behaviors and outcomes, and ultimately how successful you are? And finally, how much control do you think you have over your mindset? And I'm not speaking generally here. I want you to think about how much say you have over your own mindset. Put this recording on pause for a moment to give yourself time to jot down some ideas. Remember, no right or wrong answer. It's just to get the juices flowing. Okay, now I'm going to assume that you have some ideas written down, so I'm going to let you know what we mean by mindset. So when I speak about mindset throughout this module, I'm referring to the individual set of beliefs and attitudes that shapes how we see ourselves, how we see the people around us, and how we interact with our external environment. Our mindset influences everything: how we think, how we feel, and how we behave in response to these thoughts and emotions. Ultimately, the mindset we've cultivated for ourselves will impact how successful or perhaps unsuccessful we are in striving for the goals that we've set. And the great news is that we do have control over the type of mindset we cultivate for ourselves, as long as we know how. Let's break this down even further. So there's a very good chance that by now you've heard of growth and fixed mindset. But if you've not, let me give you the lowdown. So according to Stanford psychologist Dr. Carol Dweck, there are 2 basic mindsets that we have the choice to adopt: growth and fixed. A fixed mindset is the belief that your abilities are static or fixed in place, meaning there is little point attempting to change. So what you tend to fall back on if you do have a fixed mindset is talent or intelligence rather than effort or learning. You'll also tend to experience dichotomous thinking around success and failure. It's either one or the other. For example, I tried dieting once before, but I failed miserably. I'm clearly just no good at it. And then moving on to a growth mindset, which on the other hand is the belief that your abilities can be developed over time with effort and persistence. And when it comes to mistakes or failures, you see them both as something to be learnt from rather than a reason to give up. For example, my diet didn't work last time. Perhaps I'll try a different approach this time or ask for help. Okay. Now that we have a little bit of context, I want to touch briefly on mindset and language. Whether you're speaking to yourself or to someone else, keep in mind the language that you use to communicate to help cultivate a growth-oriented mindset in yourself and in others. It's so important to emphasize the effort being invested and attribute success to the process rather than simply the outcome. Let me give you a quick example. Say you see your friend striving for a PB on their deadlift in the gym. Perhaps they hit it or perhaps they don't. Rather than focusing on the PB itself, let them know that you admire the effort they put into doing something that's important to them and sticking with it. Another example, say you've been working on your nutrition habits for a couple of months now. Weight loss is the main goal, but you've not seen much change on the scale yet. Rather than feeling down that the outcome hasn't come as quickly as you'd expected, why not instead remind yourself how far you've come since you started? You've been cooking all your meals, you're fueling your training, and you've got so much more energy, and ultimately these are the things that matter most. Remember the things that are important to a growth mindset: consistency, effort, the ability to learn from mistakes, to continue when things are difficult, and to try again after a setback. These are the things we want to reinforce in ourselves and those around us because they will be what helps us continue when things invariably get tough. Okay, moving along, let's have a chat about resilience. As you can see on this slide, I've got a little equation here, which is a KP special, by the way. Challenge plus growth mindset equals resilience over time. Let me explain. Mindset is critical in helping us cope with challenges that we're inevitably going to come up against in life. From small daily annoyances like finding clothes next to the laundry basket rather than in it, to bigger life events like new relationships, work deadlines, loss, change, or transition, and everything in the middle. Adopting a growth mindset in the face of challenge helps us create a resiliency buffer, which better equips us for handling future adversity across all aspects of life. That all makes sense, I hear you say, but how do I do this? Well, there are plenty of small ways to practice enhancing your own resiliency buffer. Here's just a short list. Doing the hard things when you least feel like them. Say, for example, going to the gym at the end of a really tough work day rather than just jumping on the bus straight home. Persevering through unplanned setbacks. Let's say you get COVID for 2 weeks and lose some of the gains you've been working so hard for. What do? Rather than feeling sorry for yourself, you give yourself time off without guilt and go back as soon as you're healthy again and pick up from where you left off. Approaching failure or mistakes you make as an opportunity to learn. For example, you see your fit friend trying out a new diet, which you then try too. 2 weeks in, you're miserable, you're hungry, you're eating Maltesers for dinner. You learn that this might not be the way forward for you and you decide to do more research before attempting something like this again. Also, being clear on your values so you can work towards the things that are most important to you, the things that most closely align with who you are and what you want. It's worth noting down what these are. Some values will align and some will compete with one another. Being clear on what you want will help you prioritize. And finally, tap into the things that intrinsically drive you rather than relying too heavily on recognition, reward, or other forms of externally derived motivation. For example, going to the gym not because your friends are telling you how fit you look, but because it makes you feel good. It helps improve your mental and physical health, and it gives you more energy to put into other areas of your life. So now that we've covered what mindset is, why it's important, and what it looks like to begin cultivating your own, the rest of this mindset series will take you through a framework that helps you with implementation. We call this organizing the mind. In the sessions that follow, I'm going to help you set out your goals for the next 12 weeks and beyond. We'll delve further into future visualization, smart goal setting, action planning, and limiting beliefs, all of which will help cultivate the mindset you need and put you in the best possible position to create successful change. But before we finish up with this first session, we're going to run through 2 activities. So grab your worksheets out again for me and get ready. All right, how ready are you? So this first activity is going to ask you to set your intentions for the course. This is an opportunity for you to set expectations of yourself over the coming weeks to help hold you accountable so that when you come to the end, you know you've done everything in your power to make the changes you want. Let me give you a few examples that you might want to include in your own. It might be to put aside X amount of time each week. Or perhaps it's endeavoring to complete all activities within the time frame and to the best of your ability. Perhaps it's asking for help when you don't understand something, or maybe it's taking ownership for all of the things you're able to control during this process. All right, your turn. Pause this recording to give yourself a moment to write down your intentions for the coming weeks. All right, activity 1 done. Let's now talk about how ready you are to commit to the intentions you've just set yourself. I want you to have a look at the readiness scale on the slide. You'll see here there's a sliding scale from 1 to 10, 10 being a big hell yes, let's do this. So now I want you to record how genuinely ready you feel to tackle the next few weeks. Make sure you're not answering it in a way you think, nah, and I expect you to. Be honest in your scoring. All right, now if you're hovering around the 9 or 10 mark, brilliant. If you put anything below a 9, however, remember that's okay. I want you to have a think about what might be holding you back. What needs to change to make this a 10? I'd like you to reflect on this, jot some of your thoughts down and bring it to your next coaching call. Be as honest as you can be here. Otherwise, for now, that's all from me, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session of our Mindset series. Until next time, take care.